Hello, Collision Center owners in the Raleigh-Durham area. Good day to you and happy September already. My name is Casey. I'm with SMB Visual. I'm an online digital marketer, videographer. I do SEO, and most recently I've gotten into online reputation management, which is actually what this entire presentation is really all about. And as promised, we'll be looking here in a second at the list of auto body shops in the Raleigh-Durham area and see how the ranking shakes out. And I want to stress that this is not a coronation of those at the top as if those do the best auto body work in town, nor is it an indictment of those at the bottom like they don't do good work. The reality is most auto body shops do good work and they're good craftsmen. This is, again, not saying anything about anyone's particular skill level or craft. What this is about, from a consumer perspective, what is the average consumer who needs your service going to see when they go online and start looking for a shop to do business with? And how do you appear online? Now, it is true that your ratings online can be very much connected to the level of work that you do, and also the skill level in customer service that you present on a regular basis. That can definitely affect your rating. But quite often it's the case where it has very little to do with either of those things as far as what your rating is, but instead it has to do with how well you're playing the internet game, which there is a right and a wrong way to do it. And so everything that I'm going to be looking at here is very Google centric. And there's a reason for that, because Google owns, put it this way, across all devices, whether laptop, desktop, computer, a tablet, or a handheld like a phone, Google Chrome is the default operating system on well over 60% of those devices, which means that Google is the default search engine. And across the other 40%, or actually less than that, Google is the chosen default search engine for many of those people, including iPhone users. And even if it's not the first choice, it's often the second when it comes to searching for business. So if you're not paying attention to how you appear on Google, you're definitely missing the boat, because I hate to be cliche about this, but you only get one shot at a good first impression. And that impression, when it comes to consumers who do not yet know you, is going to occur on Google. So obviously on a list like this is what we call the MAP 3-pack. This is not a particularly good first impression, is it? 4.1 stars is not particularly good. A review count of 29 is not particularly high. And then we've got, unfortunately, two of these one of the big four MSOs. It's actually big three now, because Caliber purchased Abra, and now they have over 1,000 locations nationwide. But also Gerber and Service King making up the other two. They have got deep pockets, and that's what lands them on the 3-pack quite often. They make their regular appearances in the 3-pack. But obviously a 3.9 is not a good rating. This is really unusual for a big MSO to have a good rating like this, 4.7. But 31 reviews isn't particularly strong. Obviously, most people are going to go to the map and look for someone who's looking better and see who jumps out. Obviously, a 4.9 at 41 is better than anything so far. 4.7 on 19 is okay. Low review count, though. 4.7, 31 is not bad. And that is generally how people are going to begin their search, is looking at this very thing. Raleigh-Durham's rather interesting. There's not a whole lot of standouts. At the same time, there is a big log jam at the top with five-star and 4.9 and 4.8 rated shops. So let's take a look at my list. As you can see, I'm kind of a stats geek. I'm at least half nerd, so I like to break numbers down and analyze them, smash them up, dissect them, and see what kind of patterns shake out. And city after city that I do this in, there is always this similar pattern that shakes out. So as you can see, I have just under 30 of you, I think, here. And I've only ranked the top 20 because the bottom portion of these really, it was hard to discern who was better out of this group versus anybody else. They certainly had poor enough numbers that they weren't going to be in my top 20. But at the top, we kind of have this log jam. Dent Dominator had a 5-star rating across 132 reviews. That's pretty impressive, and decent balance too. So what we have off to the left here is what I call third-party verticals. So these are all review sites. CarWise is obviously connected to the CCC1 software suite that many of you probably use in your shops. And then we have SureCritic, which is more of a West Coast thing. And autobodyreview.com, that's what ABR stands for, is obviously only auto body. CarWise is only auto body. Bird Eye is multiple types of business, but very heavy in the automotive industry. So I consider them a vertical. Then we have horizontal review sites, which actually are primarily functioning as directories, any business type, indiscriminate, and they just happen to do reviews. So what I look for here is diversity, which we have 49 reviews across Facebook, Yelp, Angie's List, and Better Business Bureau. You didn't actually have a review on Better Business Bureau, but it did pop up on the first page. Better Business Bureau is one of these horizontals that I have yet to see anybody collecting reviews there, and most people don't realize that you can. And it's a site that has a lot of relevance, and you guys really should be taking advantage of it. Yellow Pages is another one that's vastly underutilized by most of you, and it's an old granddaddy. It carries a lot of weight in the business world, and Google tends to rank you much higher if you get reviews on Better Business Bureau or Yellow Pages. Yelp. I'll talk about Yelp a little bit later. I'm not a fan, but any one of these carries tons more weight than any of these guys out here. And that is something that you need to take to the bank, especially for those of you, you may recognize a pattern. Most of you that are consistently collecting third-party reviews on CarWise and on other third-party review sites tend to be clustered right down here at the bottom of the list. That's not a coincidence. It's a pattern that shakes out city after city. And where I'd like you to pay attention to this, because I've got Google out here by itself, is in this percentage. This is the percentage of total reviews that you've got that go to Google. And so I like to see numbers that aren't too grossly high. Sometimes if you have a low rating, you might have to focus entirely on Google to get that number up. So in that case, I don't mind seeing it sitting at 80 or 90%. But if you see numbers that are very low, that tends to be associated with a lower Google score. So this person here is only devoting 3.56% to Google reviews, and everything else is going to other sites. And here he is sitting at 4.6, which is the lowest of the top 13. Down here, we see 7% and a 4.4. We see 1% and 4.4. Down here, 7%, down to 4.1. 1%, 4.4. So, and again, this pattern repeats, and it's not an accident. So the only thing that protects people who collect a lot of reviews up here in comparison to on Google, for instance, he's on only 8%. The only thing that's protective of that is a high raw review count on Google. Most businesses are not going to be approaching 100 or getting more than 100 reviews on Google organically. This means that they're actually going after it and trying to get Google reviews. That's the only thing that'll protect you from this rating going down in that case. So again, at my top is Dent Dominator. I like the fact that I don't see any third-party vertical sites, no ratings there. That's great. Decent diversity across the horizontal, because these are good for you. These over here are bad for you, generally speaking. A 5-star review count, that's hard to argue with. 26 in the last 3 months. That's higher than anybody else on the list. That means he's getting after it. And that's what it takes if you want to rank number one. So I didn't see him in the top 3 selections. Dent Dominator, I think, was out of Raleigh, wasn't it? Let's see. Dent Dominator is in Raleigh. So if we did a search in Raleigh instead of Durham, we can see how he is ranking. And here he is with an ad. So if you're fives, I don't like seeing ads here because they're expensive per click, very expensive. But if you are not ranking in this, personally, I would like to see you have that ad taken out and have it get you in this, what we call the map 3 pack, so that they could see you up here before anything else. Here's affordable auto painting and body repair. I love the review score, and I love the review count. And I have you sitting second. It was kind of a tough choice between you and Dent Dominator as far as who should take the top spot. To me, it was pretty close. The thing that gave Dent Dominator the slight edge was just a little better in diversity. You have fewer reviews across fewer sites other than Google. I don't mind seeing you focus a ton of effort on Google, but you could, at this point, being where you are with this really good rating and good number of reviews, start looking to some other third-party sites. My recommendation would be Yellow Pages and Better Business Bureau. So going down the list, we've got prices, nice 4.8 score, 142 Google reviews. That's very high. Again, this is not something that is happening organically. These guys are pushing for it. A lot more balance, 27% to Google. They've got 34 reviews across Yelp, Facebook, and Angie's List, and they're throwing a few reviews onto CarWise and a few reviews onto Birdeye. Nothing horribly wrong with that. Just don't stay focused there. John's Collision Center is an up-and-comer. They've got 19 recent reviews. That's great. 4.8 rating. I'd keep the pedal to the metal on Google. You're a little bit low considering where you are compared to those above you. So if you want to start ranking, pushing your ranking up higher organically, then you might want to take the emphasis off of some of these guys out here and put it here. So going on down, Extreme Collision at 4.9. Johnson Auto Body was looking pretty strong across multiple websites. And again, he's got quite a bit of emphasis on third-party sites with 694 there, 242 here, and only 12 on the other horizontals. But a grand total of 948 across non-Google sites versus only 87 reviews on Google. I don't like seeing that imbalance. If you focused more effort on Google, it would launch you up that list for sure. Clearly, you do good work because you're getting good ratings no matter where you're being rated. So as we go down the list, we get fewer and fewer in the review count in Google. And then finally, we get down to where we jump out of these 4.9 and 4.8 logjam that we have up here, and we get to 4.5. Again, because affordable has a lower score, this isn't just about the ratings. I mean, once anything above 4.5, you're doing good. It starts to level off. It's a law of diminishing returns. Once you get to 4.7, you've kind of peaked. 4.8 is only a little bit better. It's kind of like sunscreen, SPF 15. You think that SPF 30 is twice as good. It's not. It's only about 10% better. And SPF 45 is only about 2% better than SPF 30. So the number going higher is not necessarily getting you that much better as far as overall ranking and relevance and prominence is concerned. But there's a pretty severe drop-off after the top 11, 4.5 on 123 reviews on Google, similar ratings across other websites. So this may be an issue that they might be needing to analyze their negative reviews, seeing if there's any pattern to what's being said there. When I do a search for a business and do work for them, I actually will sift through the negative reviews and do searches for words like rude, which is a really common one for why people are motivated enough to put a 1-star review up on Google or Yelp or something like that. Rude is a very common word. Unprofessional is a common word. If there's no pattern, then quite often I believe that it's a problem with how you're managing your online presence versus anything to do with how good a work you do. When I see a little bit lower ratings, it tends to make me think they've got an internal problem, not an online presence problem. Where this guy right below, Triangle, my bet is this is absolutely 100% a problem with how they're posturing themselves online. And again, you guys deal with individuals as customers one by one. Individuals are unpredictable creatures. I, in my world, deal with consumers as the group. And as opposed to the unpredictable individual, consumers as a group are very predictable. So I look for the patterns. So when I see this next guy down here, Triangle, and I see a 4.9 rating on CarWise, way too much emphasis on these third-party sites, a 4.8, another good rating on autobodyreview.com, and then a 4.6, that's significantly lower than these other two. The question is why? Well, I have diagnosed that problem, and I have the answer to that question. Not only the diagnosis, but how to cure it. And that is something that I will be sharing with you in the next video after you opt in. I'll need your name, your email address, because in addition to giving you these answers about what you can do about that problem, I am also offering you some information, personalized information about your business that'll look something like this, where I give a breakdown of what's going on with your current review situation by site, and checking out your profile, making sure things are properly claimed and verified as far as your accounts at various platforms, and also a second report that is more SEO related. Just show you where you might be missing the boat as far as your profiles and your authority, is what they call that, across multiple sites. And making sure little things like making sure your address is absolutely identical across all of these sites is something that you need to take care of. And so this is just a free analysis that I'll give you after you opt in. And then there is another video on the other side that is going to go into depth about diagnosing what this problem is, especially for those of you in the middle that seem to have some sort of an issue going on with the rating, particularly where it concerns Google, which is the most important of all of these sites. If somebody sold you a bill of goods that you would be great, doing great to focus 90% of your reviews or whatever it is on these third-party review sites, well, you got sold a bad bill of goods. It is not the case. It rather than helping you, it hurts you. And that'll all be explained in the next video, and what you can do to turn the ship around and head it in the right direction. And that's particularly true for those of you who are suffering more severe problems with low ratings. And before you dig that hole too deep, like a 4.2 rating on 87 reviews is a deeper hole to dig out of than it is at 4.1 and only 29 reviews. So the longer you let this fester, the harder and longer it is to get out of it. I'm not saying you can't get out of it. You can, but it needs to start now. And the longer you let it wait, the deeper that hole is gonna become. So I will look forward to seeing you on the other side. Even those of you at the top, there's going to be some great free advice for you there. I'll spare you the suspense. Yeah, I'm going to be selling you my services because I know how to handle this type of situation. But even if you're at the top and you don't think you need any help from me, and it may be true that you don't need my services, but there's plenty of great beans of advice on how to deal with individual review sites, which ones you should be focusing on, which ones you shouldn't, and how to deal with some of the more difficult ones like Yelp. I've got some great pointers for you there on how to deal with them. They're not my favorite, I'll tell you that much right now. In any event, I hope you have a great day. Opt in, please, and I'll see you on the other side, and have a great day.